Welcome to Modern Life is Goodish. I'm Dave Gorman, and if you've followed the show at all, you might be aware that in the last year or so, I have become a father. Now, when I first mentioned it in Series 4, I got quite a few messages from people saying things like, "Oh, right, you're going to turn into one of those new parent comics, are you then? Going to go all soft and all nappy chat?" I want to take this opportunity to say that is not something that's going to happen, not on my watch. It is absolutely business as usual as far as I'm concerned. I will still be applying my normal laser-like focus to the world at large. So let's get down to business, ladies and gentlemen. Topsy and Tim. Now, I've got issues with Topsy and Tim, and it's not a labelling issue. I mean, obviously, it is annoying that they've written Topsy above Tim and Tim above Topsy. They're twins, but they're not conjoined twins. It's very easy to solve, easy. Yeah. But no, it is not that. That isn't my main issue. My main issue with Topsy and Tim is the names Topsy and Tim. They seem to me to come from very different shelves in the name shop. You don't really do that with siblings, and you definitely don't do it with twins. If someone introduces you to their children by saying, "This is Jonathan, this is Susan, and this is my youngest, Malvolio," you know for sure there's a second marriage and some step-parenting going on, don't you? As it happens, I am a twin. My twin brother's name is Nick. Nicholas and David come from the same shelf in the shop. Standard, unadventurous British names. Now, don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with Topsy as a name. I'm not saying that eccentric names are wrong. I'm just saying that if you're calling your daughter Topsy, your son ought to be Garfunkel. It makes me anxious about Topsy and Tim's future. I think Mum and Dad just couldn't decide, had a blazing row and solved it by saying, "Fine, you name him and I'll name her then." In which case, this marriage is heading for the rocks. It's either that, or they're doing some kind of weird social experiment. I know. Let's name the girl Topsy and the boy Tim, and see if we get an accountant and a stripper. Anyway, back to the TV show Topsy and Tim. I like it. If you're not a parent, you're probably unfamiliar. But if I show you the opening titles, you'll get a feel for the kind of show it is. It's a sort of 10-minute soap opera for little ones. As you can see, we're sort of zooming in on a kind of cartoon world. It isn't actually a cartoon, by the way. It just looks like it's going to be at the beginning. But if I pause it around there, you'll see what we're doing there is we're zooming in on Topsy and Tim's family home. There, that's their house, that's their parents' car, and that is Topsy and Tim. You can't really see the detail in this resolution, but if we move the action on, it will become clear. We melt into the real world.
This is our street. It's where we
There they go, and they're running in, happy as Larry, little Topsy and Tim having a great old day. There they go. That's the sort of show it is. It's a great little show. Each episode basically deals with one issue. For example, here's an episode called New Clothes. That's about the first time that Topsy and Tim are bought non-matching clothes. And as a twin, that really speaks to me because, as you can see, for pretty much all of our childhood, we wore matching clothes. And we really did. When we were 7, we once went to a fancy dress party as Batman and Batman. But you get the idea. You've got an episode called New Clothes. You've got another one here called Strange Beds. That's about them having to move to a different room while their bedroom was being decorated. There's one here called Chicken Pox. It's pretty obvious what that one's about. This one's called Itchy Heads. That's about an outbreak of lice at the nursery. So that's the kind of show it is. You can see you've got shows called New Clothes, Strange Beds, Chicken Pox and Itchy Heads. You've got Lost Cat, Lost Keys, David Bowie, LPs and Anna Push. Some Trevor Francis tracksuits from a mushing shepherd bush. Bush, 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 bush. But I think my favourite episode came at the end of Series 1, and it is called...
Moving House.
Yeah, Moving House, which, as you'd expect, is about a bad case of subsidence at their place. No, it's not. It's about them moving house, obviously. And I found that episode genuinely quite emotional because this is the house that Topsy and Tim have grown up in. It's been their home their entire lives, and now they're leaving, and all of their friends and neighbours come out to see them off and wave them goodbye. We might never see you again. It's also emotional. All these people are there waving them off, and they chase down the road as they go past the removals van. They're still there on the other side. I genuinely got a bit choked up by it all. I had to go over to our parents' WhatsApp group to see if anyone else was feeling the pain in the same way that I am. I should explain here. A few months before the Gore baby arrived, we joined up with a load of other prospective parents, all people in the same area, expecting babies around the same time. I can't recommend it enough. We have become really firm friends, and we have a little WhatsApp group for sharing gossip and what have you. You know, the best thing about it is that it allows you to go back in time to when we were all expecting and see the kind of parents we thought we were going to be. And then scroll forward to now and see the parents we actually are. I'll give you an example. Here we have a conversation from September 2015 and another one from January 2017. These are the bubbles to watch, OK? So in September 2015, one of our numbers says, "Hey, guys, does anyone want our TV? We'd like to raise blank in a TV-free environment." Fast forward to January 2017, same person. Is it just me, or does anyone else fancy the mum from Topsy and Tim? Didn't take long, did it? Didn't take long. Anyway, a month or so later, myself and our little Eric are sitting down to watch the start of Series 2. And as the opening titles roll, I find myself feeling all cheated on Eric's behalf. Hang on, I'm thinking. If you've moved house at the end of Series 1, why are we zooming in on the same house? I'm thinking you're shortchanging these kids. Just because they're not talking yet, don't go thinking they won't notice. You can't go passing off dodgy goods on little kids. How dare you? But you know what? I was rushing to judgment. I should have held my fire. Because in a matter of seconds, it becomes clear that they have moved house, and we are not zooming in on that. We are zooming in on somewhere else entirely. Look, they tricked me. There you go. That is a different place, isn't it? That is their new house. That is their parents' car. That is Topsy, and that is Tim, as you'll see when we melt into the live action anew. And there they go. They're on scooters this time. They're growing up a little bit, aren't they? Still having fun. So they have moved house, and they have changed the titles. But you know what? That raises a whole new issue, doesn't it? And my issue is not that the family car appears to be in two places at once. And it's not that Topsy and Tim are also in two places at once. I can forgive them that. It's just that they haven't actually moved very far, have they? That is about 300 yards. They're not going to turn the steering wheel once, for crying out loud. Why are all this lot coming out to wave them goodbye? Like, I'm going to see them again. It's not quite so emotional. You're just be at the same bloody shops, aren't you? What the hell is this lot coming out there? Oh, no, we might never see you again. Some of them probably live closer now, for crying out loud. What's going on there? If that lot get a bit of a jog on, there's a cut-through through those houses. Rather begs the question why they've even hired a van. If each of those friends took a box each, they'd be in no time, wouldn't they? Anyway, it's time for a little break. See you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to Modern Life is Goodish. My name's Dave Gorman, and before the break, we were discussing parenthood. I know it sounds trite, but being a parent has changed me in some quite profound ways. I take Eric out on the buses quite often. He doesn't love buses, but he loves some of the places that buses go. And so sometimes it falls to me to keep him entertained along the way. We have a special bus song that I sing. I'm a shiny bus, driving all around, picking up passengers and dropping them in town. He demands the bus song the moment the bus starts moving. I was on the bus the other day, singing the song, and then I realised I was alone. The bus starts moving, and I start singing like some weird Pavlovian idiot. Still, I did get 2 seats to myself, so, you know. Swings and roundabouts. I didn't invent that song, by the way. That song is from one of his toys. He's got a little collection of these things. They're called VTEC Toot-toot cars. That's the bus. That's the first one we bought him. And then we bought him the cement mixer second, and then the police car. They all play various songs and sound effects. The main song for each one is a sort of jolly little ditty that describes the vehicle in a nice, cheery rhyme. I know you've already heard the bus song from a master, but, you know, the cement mixer's a really nice one. I do like this one. It's one of my favourites. Here we go.
Look out, friends, the cement mixer is on the way. To the construction site, start the day. Mixing, mixing, helping builders right away.
Yeah, that's sweet, isn't it? Sweet, it rhymes, it describes the cement mixer's life. The police car, by the time we got the police car, I thought I knew exactly what to expect from these things. I'm familiar with the form. I bet I could write this jingle for them. Listen to the police car one, it's nice. Starts off nice. Anyway, here we go.
The police car is moving along.
There you go, it's a nice opening line, isn't it? That's a rhyme full of possibility, isn't it? Depends on how you want to describe the police, doesn't it? You could also say, the police car is moving along, the cheerful Bobby is singing his song. That could work, couldn't it? Or you could have, the police car is moving along, you've got nothing to fear if you've done nothing wrong. That could work, couldn't it? That could work. What they've gone for is this.
The police car is moving along. Catch the burglars to stop the crime. Yeah!
They're not even trying. What, they're not even trying? What are the odds that one was recorded on a Friday afternoon at 1:45? I mean, if catching the burglars and stopping the crime is crucial for some reason, why not have the car arriving on time instead of moving along? It's not hard, is it? Anyway, dodgy rhymes aside, Eric likes these cars. My mum got him a new one a little while back. She'd been off on a little Mediterranean cruise, very fancy, and I'd gone to pick her up at the airport and take her home when she came back to this country. So Mrs. Gorman and the Gore baby weren't with me when we went back to my mum's place. When she get there, she digs into her suitcase and says, oh, I've got a little something for Eric to say thank you. And what she'd bought him was this. Now, two things. One, it is a cement mixer, which he's already got. Two, even though she was in Italy, it turns out this is bloody German. This is a Toot-toot baby flitzer. Now, to some people, that might seem like a double disappointment. I'll be honest with you, I was excited. Because that, to me, is an opportunity. Think about it. Mrs. Gorman doesn't even know that this exists. So, the next time it's a day where it's just me and Eric, I can swap this out with his English cement mixer. Maybe the next day, it'll be just Mrs. Gorman and little Eric. He'll be playing with his toys and she'll be there thinking, hang on, how has this started speaking German? I'll have a right old laugh with that, won't I? She'll be thinking it's gone German. I'll be saying, well, you need to do a factory reset. Press this button, hold this, take the batteries out. Try pressing things in this combination. It'll be a right old giggle. That's what I was thinking. Sadly, it turns out it's not that simple. As you can see, the vehicles are cosmetically a little different. You can see one of them has got a blue barrel with a red stripe, and one of them's got a red barrel with a blue stripe. On top of that, they've actually got the language written on them, as you can see. This one here says cement mixer, and that one there says Zementmischer on there. So, although it is nice, comforting, isn't it, to discover that the German you would make up turns out to be right. So this plan isn't going to work at all. It's obviously a German toy. Mrs. Gorman wouldn't be looking at it thinking, how has this cement mixer turned German? She'd be thinking, where has this German cement mixer come from? And that's not the same thing at all, is it? However, it turns out you can take them apart and put them back together again. So all you've got to do is swap the tops, and hey presto, you now have a Zementmischer that speaks English and a cement mixer that spricht der Deutsch. So the game is alive. I do the switcheroo one night, knowing that the next day I was going to be away. And as I skipped off to work the next morning, I was already looking forward to our dinner time conversation. But I didn't have to wait that long. I was out and about when my phone beeped. I opened it to discover a conversation on our WhatsApp parents group. That's Mrs. Gorman, and she says, this is a bit weird, but does anyone else have any VTEC Toot-toot cars? We've got a few, and Eric loves them. But the cement mixer has started speaking German, and I can't work out how to change it back. Anyone got any ideas? At which point, I can't really join in and go, oh, sorry, darling, that was me, I was just messing around. That'd make me look a right jerk in front of our friends, and I didn't want to do that. It looks cruel in front of other people. It's silly, sweet, innocent fun when it's just between the two of us. So instead, I just sit in silence and watch the conversation unfold. That's so odd, says one of our friends. We've got a few of those. I'll have a play around with them when blank is asleep. All very much English-speaking at the moment, though. And somebody else joins in. That's weird. We've definitely got a few, but none of them have ever changed language. Wonder what Eric pressed to make that happen. The conversation was about to take a very peculiar turn. Try this. 1, switch it off. 2, take one of the batteries out and leave it for a minute or 2. 3, put the battery back in, but keep the face pushed in the whole time. 4, switch it on again. Let me know if this works. Now, this threw me a bit. This is one of the dads in the group. Does this bloke know something I don't? Has he sat down and worked it out? Maybe there is a fix for this. Maybe I spent 20 minutes with a screwdriver doing something that can be undone in 5 seconds. Or, and this is worse, this is much, much worse, this bloke is doing my material. Is he winding my wife up? How bloody dare he? Mrs. Gorman says, tried that. Twice. It didn't work. To which he replies, have you held down the power button for 40 seconds for a factory reset? He's doing my gear, isn't he? He's doing my gear. I have now, she says. No joy. To which he says, yeah, I'm not surprised. I was just making shit up. How dare he? How dare he? How bloody dare he? Sorry, he adds. Too little, too late, mate. Too little, too late. I was livid. Anyway, Mrs. Gorman responds, dick. Although, and I think this is only fair I point this out, to defend Mrs. Gorman's name, obviously I'm keeping people's names out of this for privacy reasons. At this point, it becomes foolish not to declare that his first name actually is Dick. So change your tone of voice on reading. That's more Dick. That's more like it. You twat. Good for you, Mrs. Gorman, good for you. You tell him. You tell him. You tell him. Now, let me tell you this, Dick. Messing with Mrs. Gorman's reality is my calling in life. If you think about it, it's really my main function within our marriage. I know it doesn't seem like much, but coming along and doing my job for me is just a no-no. That's like turning up at another man's barbecue and lighting it. You just don't do that. So hear me out, Dick. I'm going to have my revenge. I am going to have my revenge. I'll see you after the break. Modern Life is Goodish. Now, before the break, we were talking about my son's toy cars. And whilst these are the toy cars he is drawn to, the truth is, these are the toy cars I would like him to play with. I don't know why. I know it's just some middle-class twonkery harking back to some simple, bucolic, famous five world. Didn't exist in my childhood, so I haven't got a hope of existing in his. I feel very much the same way about board games. I look forward to a time when we all sit around the table playing a board game together. I don't look forward to a life of sitting on the sofa playing computer games with me. It doesn't appeal in the same way. But I can see the way the world is going, and so can the board game manufacturers. They're desperate to try and make their games appeal to the computer generation. But everything they do just makes them seem even more old-fashioned to me. For example, Cluedo brought out a new version of the game a few years ago called Discover the Secrets. And it doesn't happen in a stately home anymore. Instead, it's set in a sort of The Only Way is Essex mansion. All the characters are different, and instead of an Agatha Christie-esque world, we're now in a Hello Magazine kind of world. So Colonel Mustard has become Jack Mustard. Once the most sought-after celebrity football player, age has finally caught up with him, now a sports pundit. I've never wanted to solve a murder while pretending I'm Alan Shearer, thank you. Miss Scarlet is now Cassandra Scarlet. She's at the centre of every social event and is the hottest star on the movie scene. She has the attention of all the celebrity magazines. Her biggest fear is that the press will uncover the shady things she did to claw her way to the top. And as you can see, she's quoted on the card saying, "What? You don't know who I am?" To which I can't help thinking, pretty good idea you might be Catherine Zeta-Jones. Now, that's how Cluedo are trying to court the younger generation with their computers. Monopoly are having a go as well. They've recently held a vote to choose new playing tokens, and amongst those in the running were a hashtag and an emoji, as if that could somehow make the game feel more modern. There's a difference here, isn't there? Cluedo is a role-play game. So when they changed the characters and the setting, they fundamentally changed the game. But the token you play with in Monopoly was never a part of your role-play. Nobody ever thought they were being a property trading iron, did they? Sliding around. If you want to make it more of a realistic game, I've created a special variation of the game in which you play as a character who knows all about property trading. I call it Homes Under the Hammonopoly. It fuses the two great institutions, Homes Under the Hammer and Monopoly. I've commissioned an artist to make some special Homes Under the Hammonopoly tokens. So I've got a little tiny pewter Martin Roberts and a little pewter Lucy Alexander. I never got round to making a pewter Dion Dublin. To be honest, I didn't think he was going to last that long, and these custom tokens are quite expensive to make. And I thought, well, you know what, it'd be a bit pointless. I mean, he is an ex-Premier League football player, so it's easier, really, to just get one of those. I know it makes it look a bit awkward and big and out of place, but in a way, that just adds to the sense of realism of the game. Now, it isn't just the playing pieces that are different in Homes Under the Hammonopoly. As well as needing a banker in your group, you also need to have a DJ. Because every time you land on a square, somebody has to fire up just 3 or 4 seconds of incidental music which contains one word of relevance to the square on which you've landed. As a demonstration, I'll talk you through a few spaces on the board. Say you landed at the Old Kent Road, OK? You land on the Old Kent Road and you hear... in the Old Kent Road. Have a banana. Easy, you see, simple as that. There are some obvious ones to pick off.
I'm loving angels instead.
One of my favourites.
Eat wine. When the crowd say bowl, select.
Easy. But it isn't just the property squares that have music. Every square on the board has to be covered, so... Bit of a gimme, isn't it? I think the income tax... It's obvious when you know, isn't it? It's obvious when you know. I think possibly my favourite square on the whole board.
Confidence is a preference for the habitual voyeur of what is known as...
Park Lane. Obviously, Homes Under the Hammonopoly is only for special occasions. Most of the time, Monopoly in and of itself is sufficient. And the truth is, it doesn't matter what token you're using, the game is exactly the same. When the makers of Monopoly, Hasbro, they offered the public a vote. What they did, they offered up 64 potential tokens. That's 56 new ones and the 8 existing ones at the time. And the idea was that whichever 8 got the most votes, they would survive. Obviously, they had to give the public a prescribed list. They couldn't just go, oh, name anything you like. Nobody's ever going to do that again. Now we've all learned our lesson face, haven't we? Nobody wants Christmas coming around and someone from Monopoly saying, yeah, one of our new tokens is Jimmy Savile. I don't... Sorry, guys. Not our fault. These are all things that have been official Monopoly tokens at some point in time. Of the 9 non-originals, those 2, the cat and the sack of money, were the first 2 to enter the game by public vote. Different pieces have come and gone over time. If you'd bought a set in the mid-90s, those there would not have been there. They would have been removed. Nor, of course, would those 2 down there. Now, in 1999, they had their first vote, and the winner was a sack of money. So they added it to the board, and of course, constitutionally, if a sack of money wins an election, it's only allowed to serve 2 terms. And so in 2007, they took it away without consulting the public again, until 2013, when it was time for a new vote. And this time, a piece was removed. We lost the iron and gained a cat. You see, they don't always land on their feet. They don't. Now, those have been the regular pieces in the game ever since. Up until early this year, when they had another vote. And this time, 3 tokens were replaced. We lost the thimble, the boot, and the wheelbarrow. And in their stead came a T-Rex, a rubber duck, and a penguin. And, oh, people have kicked up a fuss. I don't doubt that this is going to happen every 3 or 4 years for a good long while now. In a few years' time, people will be upset that the traditional T-Rex is being replaced by some awful newfangled crack pipe. But... you see, pointless, futile outrage is never far away these days. And when it's in the air, there is only one place that I will be heading. To the bottom half of the internet, ladies and gentlemen. To see what the world has got to say for itself. I have read every single comment I could find on every single story on this topic. I've taken my favourite of those comments and I've turned them into something that I like to call a found poem. that I would like to perform for you now. Farewell and rest in peace, you three legends of the Monopoly board. When will this madness end? Is nothing sacred? Everything I know about this world, I learned from Monopoly. And now, everything I know about this world is wrong. This is not modernizing it. How can it be? When one of the new pieces is a T-Rex. They died out hundreds of years ago. Like many families, we buy a new Monopoly game each Christmas. That way, we know we're staying up to date with any changes. Often, there are none. And we feel a bit let down. So it's nice to know that when Christmas comes around this year, we'll be getting 3 new pieces at last. Thank you, Monopoly. The iron was always my favourite because it was easy to manoeuvre. I loved the thimble because you could really put it on your finger, like an actual thimble. The boot was best, for obvious reasons. The boot and the car make sense, because you can walk or drive around London. A dog could walk around London, but could not buy any property. A cat is just silly. The battleship makes no sense whatsoever. It's not bloody Venice, is it? Birmingham has more canals than Venice. Fact. Irrelevant fact. I've never seen a cat. It doesn't surprise me that the thimble and the iron have gone. They're woman symbols. Get rid of the wheelbarrow. Nobody wants to be the wheelbarrow. I'll start a petition and deliver it to Hasbro myself in a wheelbarrow. I'm a man and I've always liked the thimble, but then I do have quite small hands. I could even put it on my thumb. Thumble. Lol. Like most people here, I wish this was not happening. But then I guess it just goes to show that nothing is the same forever. None of us can stay who we were. We live in a state of flux. I don't know what flux means. But you're clearly talking sh1t anyway. I stay who I was. I am always the car. I thank you. You are watching Modern Life is Goodish. Now, earlier on, I was telling you a little about a WhatsApp group that I'm in with a bunch of other relatively new parents who live nearby. Well, a weird thing happened with that group a little while ago. I was at home one day, my phone beeped, and it was one of the members of the group reaching out to Mrs. Gorman. They sent a little message saying, hey, Beth, did you ever find a solution for the German-speaking cement mixer? Only our caravans turn Spanish. Now, there's a few things to enjoy here. One of them is what that looks like to someone who's missed the earlier conversation. That now makes no sense whatsoever. Your caravan started speaking Spanish. What? That person exists. They popped up saying, your caravan? What's that for? Pinky here tries to clarify, saying, I'm guessing you missed the earlier conversation. Not an actual caravan. The car that tows the caravan. That hasn't helped. That hasn't helped. Here's why they go back. Asterisk, toy car. batteries were flat, I put new ones in, and now it's Spanish. And then it gets weirder still. Right, this is really weird. Because the same thing happened to our fire engine. Only it's German. If anyone has a foyer they need putting out, we've got the fire engine for you. To which my favourite person in the group added, just a theory, but do you think this is to do with Brexit? Good on them. Good on them. Now, I think there was probably one person in the world who didn't find this conversation as weird or as unusual as it might appear on the surface. And that person is me. At which point, it's also worth pointing out that the pink stripe represents a very lovely lady who just happens to be married to our friend Dick. You remember Dick from before, don't you? He's Mr. Blue Stripe there, the one who's having a go winding my wife up, having a joke about her malfunctioning Toot-toot car, which, you know, I was going to do, but that's not the point, that's different. I'm allowed to, I'm the one she's taken on for better or worse. Dick isn't. I won't recount the whole of the conversation that flowed after that. The important thing is that at some point, somebody, Mrs. Dick as it happens, says, is it just the cement mixer? And Mrs. Gorman has replied listing the other vehicles that we own. Also the police car and the bus and the taxi. And for reasons I don't completely understand, this seemed to encourage other people to join in sharing the vehicles that they've got. Again, I'm not going to show you every single detail of the conversation, especially as the vast majority of them were one person saying dumper truck. You might recognise that blue bar. That is Dick having a bit of fun, isn't it? That is classic Dick. Classic Dick. Now, suddenly, I am in possession of an awful lot of information about which Toot-toot vehicles the various members of our group own. And we have play dates. We visit each other's homes. We have a cup of tea and a slice of cake together while our little ones play. And as you know, Pinky is Mrs. Dick. So I now know what vehicles they own. The police car, the ambulance, a race car, and one with a caravan. And that is very powerful information, isn't it? That said, this is not as simple as I might have made it seem. This is what a Toot-toot vehicle looks like when it's been taken apart. The only things you can switch from one vehicle to another are the top and the face. What I can't do anything about is the base, because it's all sort of soldered and it's got circuit boards, it's wired in. I wouldn't dare fiddle with that. So it seems like a simple task, doesn't it? Say this is what the British ambulance looks like and this is the French ambulance. They may look very different cosmetically, but the important thing is the base and the wheels look the same. So all you need to do to swap the languages is to swap those two tops over and you are good to go. Simple. However, it's not that simple because that's not what a French ambulance actually looks like. In fact, that's what the English and the French ambulance look like. That is what the German ambulance, or Krankenwagen, looks like. And that there is the Spanish ambulance. Not one of those ambuli is a perfect match for any of the others. And the availability of the foreign cars complicates matters further. You'd think they'd be easy to find online. They're not. They're really quite difficult. And sometimes it costs you 50 or 60 quid to import one, and I am not pushing the boat out that far. I'm not obsessed. So, I was on the search for vehicles that I could buy in Britain or easily and cheaply from Britain, and also work out which ones could be swapped with other ones. It's a rather tricky endeavour, so obviously I drew up a spreadsheet to help me out. This was my method. I would buy a foreign vehicle and a corresponding British vehicle. I'd do the swap at home in my own time, and then when I got round to a friend's house, let's say, you know, just as an example, say Dick's place, for a play date with Eric, then when nobody was looking, I'd snaffle their car and swap it for my new foreign language version. Easily done. Nobody expects their 46-year-old friend to steal their children's toys. Now, I didn't want the switch to be obvious straight after I'd been round their house. So my method was this. I would put dead batteries in the cars that I was leaving behind. Yeah? And let me tell you, draining a lot of double A's takes time. I am committed, if nothing else. I'm figuring a day or two later they're going to find the car with the dead batteries. It's going to take a day or two more to get round to replacing them. They replace them, the car comes to life, only now it's speaking a foreign language. There's no way they're going to connect that to my visit, are they? It's the perfect plan. Annoyingly, even with my spreadsheet, it didn't always work out quite as planned. For example, these two cars have clearly got different coloured wheels. The French website I bought that car from definitely said it had black wheels and it hasn't. It's got grey ones. Had to let that one go. But you know, from what I've already shown you, there were some that I could do. You know that I could swap the convertible with the Caravan, and you know that I could swap the German fire engine. So, this is what it sounds like if you buy an English fire engine, get out the box and turn it on. The first song you hear...
Let's fight the fire, save people with the ladder. Quick, 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 on the way to fight the big fire. Let's fight the fire.
A nice, heroic, strong, masculine voice there, OK? That looks like an English fire engine in every single detail, but it now sounds like this.
Ich lösche das Feuer, wenn es mal wo brennt. Schnell, schnell, schnell bin ich da. Das ist mein Talent.
Who knew the Germans used children for fighting fires? Now, you might well be thinking, hang on, Dave. That fire engine you've messed with, that isn't owned by Dick or Mrs. Dick. Why are they in your sights? And you are right. And I feel bad about that, because the lady who that was done for, she is lovely. And I was messing with her toot-toot. But I had to cover my tracks. Dick couldn't know it was me targeting him. So other people had to go down too. It's collateral damage. It's friendly fire. Or as they call it in Germany, friendly Feuer. But let's have a look now at Mr. and Mrs. Dick's Caravan, OK? This is what the English car sounds like when you first get it out.
Drive with me and catch the wind. I'm a cool convertible. Ride with me.
Now, incidentally, I'd left the camera running when I filmed that. They have, like I say, multiple sound effects, and some of them are triggered by bits of the track that you get with them and whatever. Some of them just come up at random. There's one on the Caravan I had never heard before until I left the camera running when that was filmed. It's worth it.
Let's overtake other vehicles.
Don't do that! No! You're towing a Caravan. That is not your prerogative. I'm not having that. If you were driving and one of those came past you, you'd be terrified. Anyway, Dick's convertible no longer sounds like that. His now sounds like this.
Woohoo! Súbete ya, vamos.
Soy un coche descapotable.
You can see how that's going to weird people out when they don't know how that has happened to their cars. Now, unfortunately, there comes a time when the fun just has to stop. Sometimes because it kind of fizzles out, sometimes because you run out of new ideas, and sometimes it's because your wife has found your spreadsheet. Of all the things on a laptop you don't want your partner to find, I can tell you this. Mrs. G has never been more confused, saddened, and disappointed than when she found my spreadsheet. She was really confused. She goes, Dave, these are our friends. Why are you messing with them like this? I tried to explain it to her about the joke I wanted to play on her, just between me and her, and then she went on the WhatsApp group and ruined it, and then Dick started doing my stuff, and now that put my nose out of joint because it's like he's lighting my barbecue or treading on my turf, and I wanted to get him back, and she's like, Dave, I'm not turf. I'm a person. I know, it just sort of happened. I didn't plan it like this. And she was like, you had a spreadsheet. And it's one of those things, when you start saying it out loud, it does sound a bit petty. But I apologised, and eventually she saw the funny side. In a way, I think she thought it was kind of sweet that I was jealous of someone for sort of flirting online with my wife, if you want to paint it in that way. Within a few weeks, we'd forgotten all about it, until this happened. Toot-toots. Things have got even weirder. We've got the city car. It's still English. but it thinks it's a cement mixer. You see? I'd hit that problem with the wheels. They don't match, do they? But they do. They do. Now, obviously, this has already escalated a little bit beyond a place it was ever meant to reach. But it escalated further from there. What? This is insane. I'd expect better from a company like VTech. This shit should not be happening. To which our friend Red says, well, I've gone on their Facebook page and asked them about it. That's not supposed to happen. Sure enough, it was on their Facebook page. My son's Toot-toot fire engine has suddenly started speaking in German. It was in English last week. Quite angry, and attached a video. What are VTech supposed to make of this? It's not possible for the fire engine to change language, but they can see that's definitely an English fire engine, and this person's telling them that it was speaking English last week, and now it's speaking German. If I was VTech, I'd be looking at that going, have these things become sentient? How would that happen? The WhatsApp group outrage continued. If we don't get a proper reply from them, I think we should go public. Name and shame. This is the point at which I stepped in. Partly because I very much didn't want them to go public. Imagine being responsible for VTech's share price falling. A silly joke went awry. But mainly because Mrs. Gorman was absolutely unimpressed. Oh, she was kind of furious. Hey, Dave, I thought you'd stop this. I said, I have, love. It must have been in their house for ages. That wasn't true. The thing is, I had a spare vehicle. I had one left over, the city car. And we were on a play date, and I saw one, and I thought, what's the harm? Just one more. I'll give up when I've done one more. Mrs. Gorman, I don't think I've seen her that angry in quite some time. She's saying, Dave, how many of our friends are you messing with? It was bad enough when you were messing with Dick's wife and Mrs. Red. Why are you messing with them? What have they got that I haven't? The fire engine and the city car. At which point she was very much not happy, and I realised, I think she was jealous. And for good reason. I was messing with all our friends, but I hadn't messed with Mrs. Gorman in ages. I'd been so obsessed with Dick, I'd been neglecting my husbandly duties. No wonder she was upset. I didn't mean for this to happen. Now, it's all right, everyone's fine, everyone's seen the funny side, it's all good. Apart from maybe one person. I think there's one person who I owe a genuine apology to, and Mrs. Gorman, I feel like I should say sorry. Sorry for building spreadsheets and messing with other people's wives when I should have been looking after our son. Or winding you up, or whatever it is we do to make our relationship work. And I am sorry for everything. And the bus is sorry too. And the bus and I would like to say our own very special sorry. I apologise for my toot-toot car-based stunt. I should have stopped it sooner, but I'm such a toot-toot